Every mood you've ever had was approved by a committee of microbes living in your gut. Most people believe feelings begin in the head, a product of thought and circumstance. That view is becoming obsolete. This debate has no easy answer because it strikes at the core of who we think we are, where you end and your biology begins. Smart people disagree violently on this. Where do you stand? By the end of this, you might change your mind. The case for gut supremacy is brutally simple. It's chemistry. More than 90% of your body's serotonin, the primary molecule of mood regulation and happiness, is manufactured in your intestines. Your gut is a chemical factory. The brain has its own supply, but it's a tiny fraction of the whole. This means your sense of well-being, your emotional stability, isn't just a state of mind, it's a state of gut. The signals travel from the gut up to the brain along a massive information highway called the vagus nerve. Your brain receives these emotional weather reports. It doesn't generate them in a vacuum. Think of it this way: your gut lining is a border. It's patrolled by trillions of bacteria. A healthy, diverse population keeps the border secure, but a poor diet, stress, or antibiotics can kill off the friendly patrols. This allows for low-grade inflammation. This inflammation sends distress signals up to the brain. The brain interprets these biochemical signals as anxiety, depression, or brain fog. You feel anxious. You think it's because of your job, your relationship, or the news. The root cause might be a molecular fire happening 25 feet of intestine away. The evidence is startling. In labs, scientists can take germ-free mice, which are raised in sterile bubbles and have no gut bacteria. These mice are a mess. They're anxious, antisocial, and show repetitive, stress-induced behaviors. Then, the scientists perform a fecal transplant. They take the gut bacteria from a bold exploratory mouse and introduce it into the anxious one. The timid mouse becomes bold. It's a personality transplant, delivered through microbes. The software of its brain was updated by the hardware in its gut. This isn't science fiction, it's the foundation for a new class of medicine called psychobiotics. Doctors are already experimenting with prescribing specific strains of bacteria to treat human anxiety and depression. That sounds like a closed case. Fix the gut, fix the mind. But there's a problem with this neat picture. The brain is the commander, and the gut is a subordinate that follows orders. The vagus nerve is a two-way superhighway. Information flows up, but it also flows down. Your thoughts and emotions directly and powerfully alter your gut environment. The classic example is the feeling of butterflies in your stomach before giving a speech. That physical sensation is your brain anticipating a stressful event, sending a flood of signals down the vagus nerve. Those signals change gut motility, blood flow, and secretions. Your thoughts created a physical gut reaction. No food was involved. No bacteria initiated the signal. It was a pure top-down command. This feedback loop is the key. Chronic stress is a perfect example. You worry about a deadline. Your brain signals this stress to the gut. The gut becomes more permeable, a condition known as leaky gut, and its microbial composition shifts toward more inflammatory species. These inflammatory bacteria then send their own distress signals back up to the brain. This confirms and amplifies the brain's initial anxiety. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. Your anxious thoughts make your gut sick, and your sick gut makes your thoughts more anxious. So which is the cause and which is the effect? The field of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, provides a clue. It teaches people to reframe their thought patterns, and studies show it can significantly improve the physical symptoms of gut disorders like irritable bowel syndrome. Patients learn to manage their stress response. Their gut inflammation decreases. Their digestion normalizes. They are literally thinking their way to a healthier gut. The idea that the gut is a puppet master pulling the brain's strings breaks down here. The puppet is pulling the strings right back. And yet, this view of cognitive supremacy has its own massive blind spot. The debate is framed wrong. It's a false choice between the brain and the gut. The real puppet master is the world you live in. Your environment shapes both systems at the same time. The food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe, the quality of your sleep, the chronic stress from your job. These external inputs are the true first cause. They are the raw materials that both your brain and your gut have to work with. If you feed the system garbage, you get garbage out, on both ends. Imagine you eat an ultra-processed diet. It's high in refined sugar, industrial seed oils, and artificial additives, while being low in fiber. This diet is poison for your microbiome. The sugar feeds inflammatory bacteria, causing them to multiply. The lack of fiber starves the beneficial bacteria that produce anti-inflammatory compounds. The result is dysbiosis, a hostile takeover. These inflamed, unhappy bacteria then bombard your brain with signals that contribute to depression, fatigue, and cognitive decline. At the same time, that same high-sugar diet directly impacts your brain. It causes blood sugar spikes and crashes, promotes neuroinflammation, and impairs the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a key molecule for learning and memory. The food was the single input that corrupted the entire system. You didn't think your way into a bad gut, and your gut didn't decide to be anxious. Your environment provided a steady stream of low-quality fuel. The breakdown was inevitable. This explains why you feel so different after a week of eating junk food on vacation versus a week of eating whole, unprocessed foods. The mental clarity and stable mood that come from a clean diet are a biochemical reality. They are the direct result of giving your entire gut-brain system the high-quality raw materials it needs to function. Control the inputs, control the system. But even if you eat perfectly, there's a deeper layer most people miss entirely. You don't start with a blank slate. Your initial microbiome is a direct inheritance from your mother. During a vaginal birth, you are coated in her microbes. This is your seeding event. It's the starter culture for your entire inner ecosystem. Breastfeeding continues this process, providing specific sugars that only beneficial infant bacteria can digest. This means your starting point in life, your baseline for gut health, and potentially for mood, was chosen for you before you ever had a single thought. It's a biological legacy as real as your genes. The consequences are profound. Infants born via cesarean section miss this critical seeding event. Their first microbes come from the skin of doctors and the sterile hospital environment. Studies show their microbiomes are measurably different, often less diverse and less resilient, for years afterward. These differences correlate with a higher risk of developing allergies, asthma, autoimmune conditions, and even obesity later in life. This suggests a form of biological destiny. If your inherited microbial community is predisposed toward inflammation or anxiety, you begin life playing on a higher difficulty setting. Your free will, your cognitive choices, must constantly fight against a powerful biological current that was set in motion at the moment of your birth. This feels fatalistic. A biological prison constructed before you could consent. It suggests your emotional range is tethered to an ancestral microbial pattern. But critics of this deterministic view point to a powerful escape hatch. The microbiome is not like your genes. It's plastic. It's alive, and it can be changed. While your genes are a fixed blueprint, your microbiome is a dynamic living garden. It responds to its environment, and it responds fast. Major shifts in diet can alter the composition of your gut bacteria in as little as 24 to 72 hours. It is remarkably adaptable. This is the cornerstone of our agency in the gut-brain conversation. You can't choose your parents. You can choose your breakfast. And that choice sends a powerful signal to the 100 trillion organisms living inside you. One landmark study illustrates this power perfectly. Researchers took a group of urban African Americans who ate a typical high-fat, low-fiber Western diet and swapped their diet with a group of rural South Africans who ate a traditional high-fiber, low-fat diet. In just 2 weeks, the changes were dramatic. The American group eating the high-fiber diet saw a significant drop in biomarkers for colon cancer risk. Their gut inflammation plummeted. Their microbial profiles shifted to produce more butyrate, a critical anti-inflammatory molecule. 2 weeks. That's all it took to begin rewriting a lifetime of dietary programming. Now, critics correctly point out that these changes require consistent effort. The underlying microbial community can be resilient. If you go back to your old diet, the old patterns of bacteria will likely bloom again. It is a constant process of cultivation. It requires vigilance. The system has inertia, but the possibility of radical change is undeniable. It's a garden you must tend, perhaps for your entire life. It is not a locked prison cell, so we have agency. We can rebuild our inner ecosystem through conscious choice. But what if the very thing that gives us that agency, our desire, our motivation, Our willpower is also a product of the gut. Here we arrive at the core tension, a true paradox. The motivation to eat better, to exercise, to manage stress, these are executive functions driven by the prefrontal cortex in your brain. But what happens when a dysbiotic, unhealthy gut is sending signals that actively suppress that very motivation? Certain species of bacteria thrive on sugar. It's their preferred fuel. And there is growing evidence they can hijack the vagus nerve and your brain's reward system to generate cravings. Powerful, insistent cravings. Imagine this scenario. You know you should eat the salad for lunch. It's the right choice. Your thinking brain understands the long-term benefits, but the craving for a donut, a bag of chips, or a soda feels overwhelming. It's a visceral, urgent need. Is that a failure of your personal willpower? A moral lapse? Or is it a hostile takeover? Are you fighting against yourself, or are you fighting a colony of microbes that have seized control of your neurochemistry to demand their fuel source? You're fighting an invisible army for control of your own choices. This creates a vicious circle. You need a healthy gut to have the stable mood and motivation required to build a healthy gut. To break the cycle, you need the very thing the cycle is depriving you of. Where does one break in? If your gut is manufacturing your cravings and sapping your will, how can you ever trust your own desires? The line between a personal choice and a biological compulsion becomes impossibly blurry. This conversation redefines the self. If your moods, your cravings, and even the clarity of your thoughts are profoundly influenced by a vast colony of non-human cells living inside you, then who is the driver and who is the vehicle? Are your feelings truly yours? So, where do you draw the line? When you feel a sudden wave of anxiety or a craving you can't seem to shake, who is feeling it, you? Or the 100 trillion passengers you carry?